I'm sick of lazy posing, so let's fix that. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, otherwise known as CHIPxHAZARD, photographer and videographer here in North Florida, and my background is more so in editorial, shooting with models, like one-on-one, fashion, different things like that. And over the course of the years, I've noticed that the posing has just kind of fallen off the map. Now, this is nobody's fault in particularly. I mainly blame magazines and stuff that have just kind of gotten lazy with it. You tend to see the same typical this is editorial, and be honest with you, there's nothing editorial about it, and it's a very lazy pose that you just kind of see plastered everywhere. And if you just don't know, you're just going to call it editorial and throw it in the mix of the other six poses and nobody's really helping you expound on that. So I'm here to help you fix that. Disclaimer, I do not claim to know everything, nor do I claim to be the best or some phenomenal poser with models or anything like that. I don't remember where I maybe came across some of these poses or thought them up or anything like that. So I'm not claiming to be the originator, but I do want to share this information and help you guys expound on your posing and stuff like that, just so you know you don't have the same 3 to 5 poses that you see across the entire internet. And I really hope this helps. Take them, change them up. I don't care. You I would love to see, what you guys did with it. So if you would tag me, that would be great. But you don't have to credit me or anything like that. That's a little extra. All right. So this footage was shot a little bit ago, but let's head over to the studio. Keep in mind, it is just no extra lighting. There are no extra props. It is just outfits and a model. And keep in mind, if this is what you're trying to do, screen capture. Screen capture? Oh my gosh, I sound 50. Screenshot your pose that you're wanting to try, so that way your model can reference it and try to do their best. Or if you just want to try and pose them, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to swap to a voiceover and just kind of walk you through all these different poses that we did and follow along. This might be a long video, so maybe grab some caffeine, a Red Bull, your choice, and let's get into it. All right, guys, we're at the desk now, and give me some slack. This is all recorded through OBS, so if there's a little bit of lag or something, I'm doing my best here, all right? Anyways, here we go.
Are we vlogging today? We are vlogging. We're vlogging! Mom, you get to be in the vlog. You're also blocking the camera.
Oh shoot, is it going?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I wish you told me. Oh.
Alright, so we are at the Lobby Jacks today. We have the amazing Alexis. And obviously we're shooting with the new camera, but I also decided to bring the medium format film camera. Some black and white.
Alright, guys, so this is going to be the entire photo shoot. I've cut it down from 3 hours, so you don't have to sit around that long. I'm going to have the fully edited raws on the right and sometimes on the left, just trying to make sure you guys can see what's going on in the background. But here we are in the studio. You can see that we opened up this giant garage door to let as much natural light in. And we're starting off with a more simple outfit, and it's to warm up. If you are doing anything editorial wise or posing wise, where you tend to kind of run into the same similar posing, you should warm up. Get a standard outfit that you do not plan on really posing with, and that's not essentially a part of your main fit or main look. Um, it just kind of helps with dusting off and getting out what you typically go to. And so here I'm just kind of walking my model through different playful poses that I'm thinking about possibly using or things like that. Definitely play around with stuff like that. These should be fun, they should be creative. play around with things. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's a photo shoot. You should be playing around, you should be experimenting. These are things that you should 1000% do. And like I said, the whole first outfit are very standard, basic poses that we're just running through and just kind of playing with the light, seeing what we have. And some of these turned out really well, and I like them. Like this is a very standard pose to me. The way I made her point her foot just kind of elongates the model's frame, makes her seem taller. And as you see now, like I'm showing her what I want her to do, mainly because like explaining things isn't my strong suit. So what I end up doing is I show visually what I want my models to do. This is very key to like my model photography and editorial shoots. So when it comes to posing them, having them in odd positions, I'm normally showing them how I want them to pose. So getting down on the ground sometimes or crouching in odd positions. This is something that I do for my models because I want them to be in a very specific kind of pose or anything like that. And then I let them expound on that. A good model is going to take direction from where you're initially wanting them and then play with things. They know their good side. Yes, you may be the photographer, but the model knows where they look best and what side they feel like they're going to look the absolute best. All right, so I forgot the BTS for these photos, but I'll walk you through them real quick. Right here, we have our first dress change. It's more of like a bridal reception dress. And we just kind of want to show off the dress and not necessarily like have the model do anything that crazy. When you pose for different things, like keep in mind the context and of what the photos are going to be used for. So with these, we just mainly showing off the dress and how it sits on the body. So with this pose, it just kind of elongates the model and just to kind of show the curvature of the dress and how it will lay on you. This just a slight variation, had her head tilt back. And then to show the mobility of the dress, we went into what I like to now call the flamingo. And it's just kind of show that, like, hey, this dress has mobility. You can move around in it. You can really throw your leg up if you want to. And this is just a fairly simple pose, but like it's a little more on the editorial side, but it still works for like normal dresses and fashion and stuff. Okay, so same bridal dress, we just added a veil over the bride kind of look, and this is nothing new, but I had her do the flamingo pose, but more towards me to add that editorial feel to it. But I don't know, she was doing this thing with her hands, and so we kind of played off of that to add this little bit of like elegance to it. This is like something that I would say would be more so practical for an actual wedding. Showing her how she looks. This is something you should be doing in your like model posing or anything like that. Sometimes people just need to see how they're looking and they will make adjustments. Alexis is very good at this. And so she just tweaks a few things, brings her leg up a little bit higher with some balancing. And I don't know, I love this look. It's a very practical look. You could 100% do this at a wedding. Okay, so next, it's kind of more so like I feel like what you should be doing and having inspiration or some sort of reference. I had this picture, she was kind of like laying on a sofa, but like we had a chair. So now I'm again, like I said, I like to show my models how I want them to be in the photo. So me and my not very mobile body kind of like showing Alexis like how I want her to sit in the chair and everything like that. She kills this. This is great. And like I don't know, we were looking for something a little more like posy, but still can be used in a wedding. And most venues and stuff like that have a bigger chair for a bride to like kind of lay in. Most studios have a chair for your model to kind of lay into. So we definitely played off of this one for a little bit and just kind of have her tilt heads to see which one works the best. And one thing I always tell people is to change your angles. If you think you have the shot, try something else. Pick a different angle. Here I come above her. I love that shot. And I wouldn't have done it if I just would have taken the first shot and moved to the next pose. I feel like one thing that I've learned from street photography is something called working a scene. And this is a very good demonstration of that. And show her in the photos, see how she looks. We move into this next one, and I felt like I explained it wrong. Again, I'm not very good at putting what I want into words, so I actually pose like that. And I love working with Alexa. She's very good at understanding what I'm trying to say. So that's also very helpful because I'm not the best communicator with words sometimes. So posing, she's able to take what the heck I'm trying to say and put it into actual pose. And this one we went kind of droopy, a little more like groggy editorial kind of vibe. It's kind of lazy looks, but this is very popular right now. I feel like it's going to die out a little bit, but just know that these are practical. Like you can use these for magazines, you can use this for like different things. I want you to take these poses and like play with them on your own, take them, modify them, play off of things. Like people don't do stuff like this as much anymore, so I want you to like take what I'm doing and like apply it. We tried to emulate her looking like she's crossing her legs, but they're not crossed. And this one was super fun. I love the way this looks. Um, I'm trying to give you guys as many varieties as I can, like sitting shots, laying shots, standing shots, just because I know that like most scenarios kind of throw everything at you. And not everything has to be done like proper. So in this case, like we got her to sit on the top of the couch, which not very rebellious in any way, but you know, just to show off that, you could place her on a table, like, or on some sort of desk. She could be sitting on top of it doing this exact pose. Like, uh, it's supposed to like mix things up. So like this one, I got a different angle on. I love the way this angles. So with these, I wanted to get some closer shots, but like just playing off of her sleeves because some brides have sleeves. That's been a popular thing over the past year, year and a half. And I'm trying to add that element into the shot. So having her like droop over the camera lens and kind of add that frame. This is also my wife shooting in the white sweater. So, and then also grab details. Sometimes not everything happens in the pose. It could be laying down in front of you. That bottom piece of the dress I really liked. This we go back to just something a little different. We have her cross her wrists, which creates a frame around her face. So now you have an extra frame in the photo. This works really, really well. If you just don't like the environment that you're shooting in, that's very common when you shoot weddings. Like sometimes the bridal getting ready room isn't the best. So doing something like this kind of pose really helps because you're kind of hiding a bunch of stuff and the main focus is on the bride's face. So really good if she has like dramatic makeup too. This one, like this dress was super long, so we placed her on top of this box and it just made her look like a statue. This is not anything crazy or groundbreaking pose wise, but I just felt like I don't know, it worked editorial wise. And they have these boxes randomly sitting around at this studio, so we used them. That's another thing that I feel like people aren't doing as much is just seeing what you have around you and using it. This one, we placed our hands a little differently. Love those two shots. And the nice thing is they're really impactful, but also really simple. Okay, so now we're getting into some more laying down poses. These could be tricky depending on the dress or outfit that the model has or bride, but they can be very dramatic and very fun to do. So with this one, we used the box. In these two shots, like I love the way these came out. We used the box to kind of help prop her up to create this more like S shape with her body. So that way, like the dress has this nice flow to it, and it just doesn't look like it's just bunched up and she's just kind of laying there. Love the way this pose kind of came out. I take way too many photos and think of, I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest with you. I took way too many photos. It was a new camera, so I got really shutter happy, trigger happy, whatever you want to call it. And at this point, I was like, I want her to do something slightly different. She lays down. Models also have good ideas, FYI. And so the moment I see her lay down, I'm like, ooh, that could be really cool. The photo, that one specifically, to me is okay. This one that I end up changing the angle a little bit more, she's still in the same pose. So she's not moving. And that's the nice thing about like studio shoots is like one pose can get tons of different photos. And we got this long laying down one. I love that shot. And she just did the same thing. It was the same exact pose. It was just a different photography angle. And I show her just to see if like, okay, is there a better angle? And I think we agreed like that one's not getting any better. So we move on to the next one. All right. So with these next poses, these standing ones, we kind of used a little bit of inspiration from the dress, kind of how it wraps around her. So we did more of a wrapping kind of pose. This just kind of plays off of the like clothing and how it looks. Like these are still on the more simpler side. There's nothing crazy about them. And just know that you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you kind of are. But I feel like whenever you do, it's more so like a happy accident. Like with these, I was really inspired by this one. I saw somebody in the gym. Bear with me. And they were doing these like tricep dips. And I was like, that would be a very interesting pose. Like, not everything comes out of a magazine. So we are playing with this idea of like a tricep kind of dip where she has this very like rigid kind of pose, but makes a softer face with obviously a soft looking dress that's very simple. So we're like placing everything and playing with the pose. Keep in mind, like, this takes a minute, and I wanted this clip to kind of play out to see, like, not everything happens in a few seconds. And it definitely doesn't always happen in the first photo. So we work on this shot for quite a bit, trying to hide the clips and make sure you can't see them, making sure there's no wrinkles in the dress, different things like that. And I noticed that she just looks like strained. So now we're like making adjustments. So we moved to drop her to her elbows instead. Just trying to see it because like what she was in was just not, it just didn't look right. It looked cramped and that she wasn't uncomfortable, which shows in your photos. If someone doesn't look comfortable, 9 times out of 10, it shows in their photos that they are not comfortable. So just make little adjustments to figure out like, okay, like what can you do to make this a better, more comfortable pose to sit in? This was dropping to her elbows. She was way more comfortable and was able to kind of hold the pose for much longer. It takes us a little bit. This is like, what, 2 minutes to finally get, like 2.5 minutes to finally get to a good photo. And these are the ones that we got to. And I love them so much. And, you know, it takes a minute to get to certain things, and then once you get it, you know you have it. And again, work the scene. Don't do all this setting up and whatnot only to get that one photo and move on. Change your angle, tilt her head, close your eyes. Different little tweaks. And then when you come back later into post, finding the one where you're like, that's the shot. Like, I loved all 4 of those photos very much. I think I narrowed it down from like 20. So this is a different one. I'm walking her through this one pose that just to add some motion into it. We've been doing a lot more like still like frames in the dresses. And so I wanted something more to kind of like evoke some movement, like maybe something that you would see in like a reception or something like that. And so we come across this, we move the clip obviously, and I don't know, sometimes you can get a shot that looks like somebody's moving and then they're not actually moving. I hope that makes sense. I'm doing my best to walk you through this in my thought process. So we got her to kind of twist like she's looking back into the camera with a more of a dropped angle. I actually really, really like this shot. And yeah, I think it works out. I take way too many photos again just to make sure like I have her eyes open, that I have her tilted the way I want her tilted, and make sure I have my camera in the correct angle that I want. And again, showing your model the photo. They know what they look like. They know like, okay, like that looks great. What if I move my hands here? Because I feel like my hands look funny. Let's try it. I rented the studio for like 3 hours. So like we definitely had time. And so now that she changed her hands, I really like the photo. Like it's more like striking the way her hands are positioned. And then, yeah, we just take another photo, the same thing. Sometimes you're like unsure, you want to adjust your framing. Now we got an outfit changed. I wanted to play with the boxes a little bit. So more like sit down, kind of like
And let's have you
Ariana Grande style. I don't know. That's the vibe I got from this fit and the high pony. And we just played with it. You're like, you know what? Let's hold on to it and move it around and stuff like that. And we got this shot. I freaking love this shot. I think it's really Ariana Grande vibes. Maybe it's just me. I love the way that looked. And moving on to the next thing, you kind of shift the angle a little bit and do some similar kind of poses, but have her kind of like leaning forward, but like keeping her shoulders straight and broad looking. Kind of adds that more of like strong, empowered look. So body position and like where the shoulders are laying and how their posture is really plays into the photos. And then Alexis is very good with like facial expressions and knowing how she looks. She crushed this whole thing, like listening to the shutter and moving to the next pose. So we shift from that, we go back to more some simple poses, but we move into playing with this light. And I think some of them work, some of them aren't my favorite, but again, when you go into something like this, like shoot wise, it's playing with things. Okay, we've already played with the boxes, now let's play with the light. This shot's okay. We get closer and kind of play with the light a little bit more. I like this one a lot better. And sometimes you have to go over and maneuver their hand and get it exactly where you want it. I like the way that one looks. It's very dramatic. It reminds me of like 2016 Instagram vibes where people were always doing the hand thing. You can reference back to old photos, like in old trends, and play into those things. I feel like it works very well. This one we tried a slow shutter effect, and I feel like it kind of worked. These are the 2 shots that I got out of it. I think they're all right. They're not the best, but at this point we started to just kind of like wind down, do some more simplistic things like playing off dramatic angles and things like that, her leaning into the wall. You know, sometimes you just got to like ramp up and then ramp back down. And I feel like we did that. The
Oh.
ramp up part was more so like very dramatic posing with the bridal looks. And now we're more so into like streetwear kind of vibes, fashiony. We did have her do like a wall sit, which I liked. I gave her kind of like a floating effect, um, because there's obviously no chair. But I don't know, I liked this a lot. And then we kind of play around with some things. We moved this sofa right back into the scene, and we get over. I show her. I want her back kind of in that pose, but not 100% that we did earlier. So more kicking her legs up and things like that. She's able to do that. I love the way this shot looks. It's just a nice variation because she's in shorts, so she has a lot more to move now. And again, just playing off of things. We move her more sitting inside the chair, kind of slumping over the side of it. I don't know. We really tried to play with a lot of different looks, a lot of different variations with the same things that you can find in almost any venue, any studio. So that way, you know that you just don't need a lot, and that posing and everything has more of an effect than all the different camera bodies and things like that that you might have access to. Like, this looks simple, but is very dramatic looking. Having her really lean forward and sink into that pose, like, she was like, I feel very awkward. I love the way the shot turned out. It looks super good. Um, I was very trigger happy, and then again, just making small adjustments. Okay, let me have you drop your hand down, or like bring it up, maybe tilt your head. Make minor adjustments and snap those. Sometimes the smallest movements make the biggest impact on your photo. And so, like, here we have her put her like wrists on her hip instead of her hands, and obviously bring her hair around. And I felt like this was the better pose than the first one. And they're both pretty good, but I love the way this one turned out a little bit more. She has, I don't know, just a stronger look. And because she's leaning forward into the camera, it's more of like a power move per se. But yeah, I really like the way that turned out. And I hope you guys like the entire photo shoot.
No one poses like that. No one poses like this.
If you made it to this far in the video, thank you. Comment a flamingo emoji down below so I know you're a real one and that you did actually make it this far. I hope this video was really helpful for you guys. I would also love to see your guys' work, so comment your Instagram down below, tag me. It's at CHIPxHAZARD on pretty much everything. And like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.